All right, here we go. Game number 7 between Minutes Per Action and Fever. Currently tied at 3-3 due to Veyron's actually a really good win there. Just beautiful play in that PVZ. But here, spawning up on the top left side, we've got the pink Protest player Veyron trying to take his second win in this clan war right now. And then down here in the bottom left, the red Terran player Scramble representing Minutes Per Action.
So yeah, very good play out of Veyron as we were discussing in between games last time. We're going to have to see what build he has prepared for a PvT. I know personally this is a matchup that I hate, even more so than PvP.
Yeah, PvT is a really, it's a very unforgiving matchup in that, you know, depending on what, I mean the Terran I feel like Terran has an advantage early game. In that they just have so many options for their build orders, and Protoss is kind of on the defensive. But then you get into late game, and Protoss has a very strong late game army.
Yeah, and then actually, just taking a second here, we do see Veyron is going to get the first scout off on his opponent, scouting in the right direction first. I can't count the number of times that I've seen players go the opposite direction, but it does look like the probe is going to get taken out here, kind of, and it does get taken out just on a move command.
Yeah, Veyron just not quite paying attention there, losing that first probe. So he's actually not going to know the gas timing soon, which is actually pretty important as a Protoss player.
An actually interesting placement of this gateway. I know personally I don't like walling off the front against Terran because it just feels, you know, it feels more risky to me to lose that gateway than it does to, you know, place it somewhere else. But actually, Veyron leading with that pylon and then placing the gateway behind it. His gas is done now, also.
Oh, yeah, we should see, as the Orbital command starts coming up here, we should see a Cybernetics go pretty soon. Actually looks like Scramble's gearing up for an early expand as we don't see any gas yet.
I actually like that play a lot because, you know, 9 times out of 10, you know, just kind of what you were talking about earlier, Protoss is usually on the defensive. For a Protoss to then turn around and go 1 gate expand, insanely risky, not really a high payoff when you think about the trade-off between Protoss and Terran in terms of units. But look at this pylon placement.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be really handy later on if he wants to warp in, but, I mean, it's the earlier you get it before you have warp gate, the more chances Scramble has to scout it. So it'll be really interesting to see if Scramble does manage to see that. And my cat is climbing on the desk. There we go.
So we do just see Marines continuing to be pumped out, all the usual good Terran stuff, because it's a well-known fact that if you're Terran and you have N+1 Marines, you're probably going to win the game.
Yep.
A couple Zealots looking like they're going to come out now and do a little bit of early pressure for Veyron.
I'd like to see, it looks like he's gearing up to take an expand. His mineral's getting nice and high there. And just to say that, there goes the probe.
Yep, 1 gate expand. And actually this is a fairly typical opening for a 1 gate expand in terms of unit compositions. From here, attack down gateways, add Zealots, maybe a couple of Stalkers, but primarily Zealots. And then sentries to force field stuff in front of you.
Yeah, and just keeping those Zealots and Stalker outside his base. Just making sure that nothing crazy is happening, nothing's moving out on the map. Keeping that map control.
And actually, as we were just talking about gateways, 2 more go down in the main of Veyron, as well as a Robo and his second assimilator. So not quite the opening that I would think of doing, but still works just the same. Excuse me. Losing 1 Zealot, it looks like, in the exchange. Not a whole lot of hull damage taken on the Stalker, thank God.
Yep, Scramble able to chase away those with his Marines. Warp gate just about done now, just as those 2 gateways are finishing up. Next is also just about done.
And we actually do a triple tech lab coming out now for Scramble, so either he has something very specific in mind or he wants his upgrades really, really fast, or some combination of the 2.
Yeah, you do all 3 tech labs going down. I wonder if he's just planning on going really heavy Marauder. Normally you'll see, you know, 2 tech labs and a reactor. But I'm curious to see what he's going to do here.
Actually opting for Marines out of that first. I mean, he has the gas but doesn't have the minerals to go Marauder. I don't doubt that we will see them here shortly, but I just find it kind of interesting that he's deciding to go with 3 tech labs instead of just, like you said, 2.
Yep. Stim on the way now, as well as a Robo Bay. Did you see that Robo Bay? That's that right there, right? Yeah. So he did see the Robo Bay. He knows Colossus are going to be on the way fairly soon, but he'll be able to get that starport up, I think.
And he does know that that pylon is down on the low ground. It'll get taken up by those Marines. As you did say, Stim is on the way. I would like to see combat shields as well. Ironically enough, I have seen that also forgotten quite a bit, especially when you get in the heat of the moment.
Yeah. Actually catching that pylon is pretty good timing, as you see that observer just now getting there. He's going to use that observer right there to warp onto the high ground and actually scramble catching that observer too. So, really good defense by Scramble here so far.
Yeah, and actually the supply is remaining fairly constant between both players. We look at the work count, dead even, with the exception of 2 meals.
Yeah, normally you see Protoss pull ahead in the working count, but Scramble actually being really, or keeping up with his working production really well.
A little bit of the Q in action going on for Scramble. I am personally not a huge fan of the Q in action, but I mean, whatever helps you keep building SCVs.
Yeah. We do see medevacs coming out right now, as well as a second starport. No doubt that second starport will be used for Viking production, as he knows about his Colossi. So.
Yep, and actually at this point, it's looking like he's going to throw one of those starports down on a tech lab, moving the barracks or the factory over to put a reactor down on it. So I'm wondering kind of what he has planned, if he's going to throw maybe a Raven or 2 into his play, or how he's going to play that out.
Yeah, I mean, a Raven could be alright, but I mean, obviously Raven's really good against Stalkers, but normally you don't see Protoss players going too heavy Stalker in TVP anyway. I mean, just because Marauders are so good versus Stalkers.
Actually, I'm a little bit worried about Scramble right now. Or not Scramble, Veyron, sorry. Should Scramble decide he's going to do, you know, any sort of push, this drop included, there's no units out on the map for Veyron.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a small force right here, and you see him heading on gateways. He hasn't even... Oh, there goes his first Stalker, or his first Colossus just popping out right now. So actually, if he reacts to this well, he should be able to hold off this drop without too much trouble. He's going to lose a couple of probes to it.
He's going to probably lose his robo here for a little bit anyway, due to the power supply. Oh, nope, opting actually... Well, maybe. Focusing down probes instead of pylon.
Actually focusing on that assembler just as that Colossus gets there. They're not taking too much damage from that, but Scramble might lose this medevac.
No, it looks like it's going to get away.
Able to get away.
So actually looking back down here at Scramble's base, we do have Viking production started in full, producing a medevac out of this tech lab starport. But other than that, everything looking pretty standard in terms of Terran play against Protoss. I think the only thing I would like to have seen a little bit earlier was the upgrades, as we do see Veyron starting 2-2 and Scramble just now getting level 1 weapons.
Yeah, and actually throwing down a second engineering bay and an armory. So we should see his upgrades getting... or moving up pretty fast. Actually, Veyron doing really well on his upgrades, already up to 1-1, 2-2, a quarter of the way done.
And a third also coming out for Veyron now.
Yeah, but I don't think we even have a third advance setter down to Scramble yet.
It doesn't appear so, at least anywhere on the map.
Yep.
And actually, these Marines that went over here to clear out this pylon still chilling over there. I don't know if they're worried, and it does look like, as we were talking about, that Scramble looking like he's going to gear towards the state base. So right now, actually, we do see a Templar Archives also coming down. So now we're getting to the point in the game where Veyron is feeling comfortable enough to tech up to those higher tier units and actually get there with a little bit of economy left over. we're going to start to see that death ball forming. We're going to start seeing Archons. We're going to start seeing, just a continuous stream of Colossi. Now, the question is going to be, is he going to just use the Storm, or is he actually going to make those into full Archons? Because he can go either way. He just needs a big enough buffer force for those Colossi to do what they do.
Yeah, I mean, with 3 Colossi on the field, actually not a lot of Vikings out there for Scramble. Storm is on the way. I would expect to see some more Psystorm heavy play than Archons, especially for dealing with those Vikings.
And a little bit of a drop coming up here to third of Veyron. Probably trying to move the army out of the way. I mean, like, there's not, kind of like you said, there's not a huge force here, but it does look like Scramble is going to go ahead and just try and catch him out of position, which he looks like he's going to be able to do.
The problem with this is Scramble cannot do the Colossi. Actually, Veyron is kind of like miss-microing this Colossi there a little bit. Actually losing 2 of them. It looks like he's going to lose a billion as well.
Did you see the point defense thrown in here? Nice move by Scramble on that. The ground army may have gotten cleaned up, but with the amount of damage that he just dealt to Veyron, this sets Veyron back a very long way.
Yeah, actually, he needs to get those Vikings out of there. Actually, resetting that Colossi count is a pretty big blow, but he's forgetting about these Vikings.
It does look like he's going to lose all but 1, but that 1 is in a very scary position right now, far away from home, far away from friends.
Yep. And so he's going to move right back over top of those Stalkers.
And loses it. So the Viking count has also been reset. We do see 3 more barracks getting thrown down for Scramble, as well as the 4th base. So at this point, I'm pleased to say this has been a very, very good macro game by both of these players. I'm very impressed by that, considering we started the evening with a few cheeses and then moving into more macro oriented as time goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a really good move by Scramble, taking out all those Colossi, and they were actually abandoning Colossus production now. So I'd like to see a Ghost Academy come out of Scramble real soon, or else, I mean, he might just be relying on his splits to deal with this storm.
That can be one of the hardest things for Terran players that I've seen in a while is, doing the dance around all of those storms, because, let's be real, that's a fairly large area, and if you're running around with a big bio ball, last thing you want to do is try and split.
Yep.
It's about like splitting for Banelings, actually. Yeah,
well, it's one thing to split for Banelings that you can see coming at you, but when you don't know when that storm is going to hit or where it's going to hit, it can be a lot tougher.
Yep, and let's see, he is way oversaturated on his 3rd. It's okay, he's about to get that 4th up and running. What I would really like to actually see at this point is I would like to see Scramble go for what Artosis has dubbed the true max, and that's sacrificing SCVs, all that fun stuff. And it does look like he's going to send a few with that Thor, but that's a fairly scary army.
It's a very scary Protoss army, and a lot of storms out there. Not microing at all versus their storms, where Zealots also just wreaking havoc on the army. Scramble definitely not coming out on top of this at all.
No, and actually right now, while supply is still in Scramble's favor, this is a pretty scary position to be in. Most of Scramble's supply is in SCVs. If you look at the units tab, 85 SCVs to 69 probes.
Yeah, this is actually something I've noticed in Scramble's play historically, is he just goes way over on the SCV production. They aren't pushing him here, no charge with the Zealots yet, but it looks like he's just got too much.
Yeah, at this point I don't think you need charge. You just flood your opponent with bodies and you hope that it all works out for the best.
Yeah, he doesn't have any storms left, but we do see 6 high Templar working in right now. He's just going to be able to keep force fielding that ramp and just do as he pleases down here.
Yeah, and actually taking out most of the medevacs. So this is a pretty scary position to be in as Scramble. You have Protoss basically knocking on your front door and up in your production.
Veyron not quite paying attention, losing those 2 Archons. The Zealots all getting bunched up against that wall.
And oh my god, Scramble is still continuing to build SCVs. He's got 91 on the field now.
Right now. Yeah. Scramble not really paying attention to his worker count. Jeez.
And actually, look at the 3rd. We're looking at almost a tab and a half of just SCVs.
Definitely overdoing it. He's at 92 and still